The calendar is slowly creeping towards spring, and you know what that means. The start of Syracuse lacrosse season.
Citrus TV is here inside Manley Fieldhouse, and we'll have exclusive interviews with head coach John Desco and starter Frenchman Brandon Mullins as we take a look at this year's Orange team.
It's the Lacrosse Preview Show, and it starts right now.
For you.
Welcome inside Manley Fieldhouse here on South Campus at Syracuse University. I'm Kevin Case.
And I'm Marcus White. Kevin, football didn't have such a great season. Basketball is off to one of the worst starts in program history. But today we're going to talk about a positive on the hill, Syracuse men's lacrosse.
That's right. It's almost time for Syracuse lacrosse season. Won't be long now until head coach John Desco and his team get the 2016 season going.
We're going to talk about how this team differs from last year, looking at the key returning players as well as some of the key departures.
And we're also going to talk about Syracuse's 2016 schedule. Plus, we'll tell you where Syracuse sits in the preseason rankings.
We also have exclusive interviews with head coach John Desco and star defenseman Brandon Mullins. But before we get into all of that and take a look at this year, let's take a look back at last season.
A spot in the ACC Championship is on the line. Rice, left doorstep, jump, and a score. Kevin Rice and Syracuse takes the lead 9-8.
The clock expires. Syracuse, for the first time since joining the conference, takes the ACC 15-14 over Duke.
Syracuse's strong season comes to an end in the quarterfinal round. The Orange loses in the quarters for just the fourth time in 31 tries.
Kevin, certainly a disappointing end to last season after how it started.
Yeah, Marcus, definitely not the way that team would want to finish the year, but the team that lost in Annapolis in May will look very different from the team that takes the field in February to start this season against Siena. The biggest losses this year on offense. The Orange graduated 5 of its 6 offensive starters from a year ago. SU's entire first-line midfield of Akeem Leckie, Henry Schoonmaker, and Nicky Galasso, all gone. So too are attackmen Kevin Rice and Randy Stotts. Those 5 guys combined for 135 goals in 2015, making up 57% of the Orange's total scoring. On the defensive end, the Cuse faces fewer departures, but it will have to find a replacement between the pipes. Last year's starting goalie Bobby Wardwell has graduated. Wardwell started all 16 games in 2015, finishing the year with a 52% save percentage. SU also loses starting close defenseman Sean Young, as well as long stick midfielder Peter McCartney and short stick D Mike Messina.
Although the Orange loses 8 USILA All-Americans from last year, they do hold on to 3. Attackman Dylan Donahue, faceoff specialist Ben Williams, and close defender Brandon Mullins. Donahue is the Orange's leading returning scorer. He became the first Syracuse player to score 50 goals in a season since 1991 last year. Williams brings stability to the faceoff X as the junior ranked 2nd in the nation in faceoff percentage last year and 1st in ground balls. He finished just 11 ground balls shy of a program record. And finally, Brandon Mullins will lead Syracuse's most experienced group on defense, returning alongside senior defender Jay McDermott. The redshirt senior out of Texas led the Orange with 14 caused turnovers last year. In their first 2 years in the ACC, the Orange has posted back-to-back appearances in the ACC tournament finals and an ACC tournament championship last season. But with so much talent gone, just what can we expect from the Orange in conference? Our own Nick Petriccioni answers that question.
If you're searching for the best conference in college lacrosse, look no further than the ACC. In their 2016 preseason rankings, Inside Lacrosse has placed 5 ACC teams in the top 10. However, even though Syracuse took home the conference hardware last year, they are predicted to finish 4th in the ACC. But head coach John Desco says that was to be expected.
I think with our graduation, that's certainly, I could see that when you lose 5 of your 6 offensive players. Those are big shoes to fill.
Syracuse had 5 of its players from last year's team move up to play Major League Lacrosse, including stars like Randy Stotts and Kevin Rice. But regardless of the low ranking, the team this year is ready to prove the doubters wrong.
We look at that and we think that people don't really have high expectations for us this year, but I think that's really motivated us.
Coach Desco also told me that he has no doubt that this year's team can repeat the success of last year's. Syracuse will have some time until their first ACC matchup on March 4th against Virginia. At Manley Fieldhouse, Nick Petriccioni, Citrus TV.
Great stuff, Nick. Well, we've talked about the players who've graduated, and we've talked about the key guys coming back to campus. Next, we'll tell you about the new faces on the Hill who might just have an impact on the 2016 season. You're watching Citrus TV's Lacrosse Preview Show.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
This new mom is struggling to get the skates just right. Now she's holding on for dear life.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of siblings in foster care will take you just as you are.
I've got a job to do today.
I've got a job to do today.
First day at work, Mom.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in your community.
Feels good to start fresh, right?
Sure does.
And like that, you're a job creator.
Welcome back to Citrus TV's Lacrosse Preview Show, and Marcus, it's time to take a look at some of the new faces on this Syracuse team.
Yeah, and we start with a pair of talented offensive transfers, both with the first name Nick Mariano and Nick Paroli. Mariano, a transfer from UMass, had 81 career points for the Minutemen. He can play midfield or attack, so we might see him all over the field this season. And Paroli is a graduate transfer from Brown, missed his junior year with injury, but graduated from Brown last year and could not play a fifth year thanks to Ivy League rules. He also had over 80 career points. A lot of incoming proven talent on this Syracuse offense.
Yeah, that's who's coming in on offense. Switching over to the defensive side, Nick Mellon, a freshman, looks to have that lead spot on the third close defenseman role. He played a lot in the fall against Navy and Towson. He's a highly ranked recruit out of nearby West Genesee High School. And Marcus, there's also a goalie transfer coming into the program as well.
Another talented transfer in the cage. We had Warren Hill come into Syracuse last year. Now it's Dominic Madonna from Merrimack College. He could push Evan Malloy for that backup spot, or even Warren Hill, depending on Hill does this season. He's originally from nearby Liverpool High School.
That's right. Who knows? Coach Desco loves goalie competitions. We know that. For more on some of those new guys on campus for Syracuse lacrosse, we head to Citrus TV's own Nick Dugan.
Rice, Stotts, Galasso, Schoonmaker, Leckie, 228 points. It's a level of offensive production that no coach ever wants to have to replace, but that's exactly the issue Coach John Desco is faced with for the upcoming men's lacrosse season.
It's been a challenge for us this fall to, first of all, figure out who we are between the newcomers, transfers, the freshmen, the guys that are returning, and trying to piece some things together at the offensive end of the field.
But the Orange have perhaps found their solution in the form of two transfers, Nick Mariano and Nick Paroli. Mariano led UMass in scoring in both his freshman and sophomore campaigns with a total of 51 goals, and Coach Desco is excited about his potential.
So he's shown us the ability to dodge and to finish the ball. We're still trying to figure him out. Whether we use him in the midfield or attack remains to be seen.
Nick Paroli is himself coming off a 34-point season at Brown University, and despite an injury that kept him out for most of the fall, Coach Desco says he will likely be in the mix come springtime.
He played on a great Brown team and has got a lot of good experience from Carthage, where we've had great success recruiting from. So, I think you're going to see him out there somewhere. It's my best guess.
But at this point, it's just that, a guess. The uncertainty of where the two newcomers and others will play remains obvious. But for Mariano, no matter the position, the team's mindset remains the same.
We just got to go out there every day and work our butts off, and, hopefully by game 1 or, game 6 we'll figure it out.
Nick Dugan, Citrus TV.
We're joined now by Syracuse starting defenseman Brandon Mullins. Brandon, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, no problem.
First up, you guys graduated 8 USILA All-Americans from last season. Just how different is it without those guys when you walk into the facility every day?
It's definitely different because, this being my 5th year, those are a bunch of the guys that have been here, the previous 4 years. So it's a little different without them, but it's kind of exciting to have some new faces on the team as well.
Now, 3 of 5 captains from last year also graduated. How is this leadership group this year different from last year?
Well, we have 2 of the captains still from last year, Dylan and Graham, and, myself as a captain as well. So, I'm just kind of, trying to fill the role that, some of the other guys had in the past, people like Kevin Rice. But I think, we have a strong core group. And I think we're kind of just excited to get the ball rolling this season.
Now, you're part of the group that arguably has the most returning experience alongside Jay McDermott. How important is that for you guys to have that familiarity with each other going into this season?
It's important just because defensively it's nice to have a little chemistry as far as communication goes. And I think, we have that with people like Jay, and then, in the D-Midi group we have like Paolo Javeri, and then Grimm. So just kind of having a little bit of that chemistry base defensively I think helps a lot. But I think we're also going to have some new people be able to contribute on defense as well.
Now, who of those new people do you think can fill in at that third close D spot?
I think, Nick Mellon is someone that the coaches like. He just kind of seems to make plays happen. So I think he's definitely someone to look out for.
Is his seemingly lack of experience surprise you because he's incoming as a true freshman this year?
I don't think it's that surprising. That's just kind of how he is. He's a real tough kid, and he's really athletic. So, he was able to fit in right away.
You lost a familiar presence in the crease in Bobby Wardwell, but you're bringing back Warren Hill, and Coach Desco says he's very improved from last year. How has Warren improved from last season?
Oh, Warren is lights out, in a couple of the scrimmages that we've had. He's played great. And the more that he plays with us, like I said, I think he'll be able to develop a little bit more chemistry, as a defensive unit.
Now, individually, 2 straight years as a member of the All-American teams as well as the All-ACC teams. Do you still think you have room to improve, and where do you see your ceiling as?
Oh, everybody has room to improve, you know what I mean? I don't think any of the accolades mean that you shouldn't be improving. So as far as that goes, just getting to know the players, and doing what I can to learn from the coaches every day at practice.
Now, this year you're not the only Texan on the team. Sam Romano, incoming freshman from Texas. How nice is it to have someone else from your home state along for the ride?
It's kind of nice. We talk about it a lot, actually. I wasn't able to play with him in high school because I guess he was in 8th grade when I was a senior. So it's kind of funny when you look at it that way, but it's also kind of cool just to be able to play with them on the same team now.
You guys bond over some mutual food places you like to have, or food you miss from home?
Yeah, the Mexican food especially. Yeah, we definitely miss it being up here in Syracuse. But yeah, we definitely get to talk about stuff at home a lot.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, thank you very much for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. Coming up, John Desco takes my spot and sits down with our own Kevin Case. Plus, Chris Thompson takes a look at Syracuse Lacrosse's connection with a local community college lacrosse powerhouse. Stick around. Lacrosse Preview Show is back in 90 seconds.
Welcome to Orange Press Pass.
Orange Press Pass is your ticket inside the Syracuse locker room. Hear from the coaches.
We got some open looks from the perimeter
and players.
Well, I saw pressure coming from the backside.
Get in-depth analysis, reports on site, and more.
Let's go on OPP.
Orange Press Pass, live after every Syracuse game.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play or even what you wear. You just need to be there. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
If you like lacrosse and you like the internet, you can check out CitrusTV's coverage of Syracuse men's lacrosse all season long. Marcus, tell the good people how they can do that.
Well, you'll have to be sure to check out our YouTube channel, CitrusTV on YouTube. Plus, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CitrusTV Sports. Kevin, am I missing any of the social media presences?
I do not think we have a Pinterest, so I think you got them all.
Tim Barber and Warren Hill are just the latest in a long line of transfers to Syracuse from local Onondaga Community College. Our own Chris Thompson has more on that connection and just how Barber and Hill found their way on the Hill.
Sid Smith, Cody Jameson, Randy Stotts.
I saw so many guys go to OCC and end up transferring here and have a great career here.
Seniors Tim Barber and Warren Hill are among the long list of players who transferred from Onondaga Community College, located just 4 miles away from Syracuse University's campus. Most of those transfers have become big difference makers at SU, but each has served a different purpose. This year, Barber and Hill are both expected to fill big gaps that Stotts and Bobby Wardwell left behind. Going to OCC was part of Barber's plan to end up at Syracuse, who transitioned nicely into an attack role last season for SU.
Really coming out of high school, that's the first thing I thought of in getting to Syracuse. It's a great stepping stone. It's right in the area. Coaches can see you.
But according to Coach Desco, that transition took more time for Warren Hill, who had to adjust his game drastically.
There's so much to learn at the Division I level. You know, in his case, the adjustment to the shooters, the speed of the game, clears, rides. You want your goaltender to be a quarterback verbally on the field, so that he had to learn all those packages, and he has to be able to talk to the defenseman on the field.
But now, Hill says he's ready to go.
My confidence in playing, be able to help command the defense, help out with the clearing, and I felt like last year was definitely a learning experience to catch up in D1 level lacrosse here, and that's one aspect where I feel more comfortable.
For Citrus TV, I'm Chris Thompson.
Jump.
Kevin Case here with head coach John Desco. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
All right, we'll get right to it. Your program graduated a lot of guys last May, a lot of talent. Guys like Kevin Rice, Bobby Wardwell, Randy Stotts. So coming into this year, how different is it around here without that class of 2015?
Well, very different. You know, we practiced for about 5 weeks in the fall, and the last few years, fall was pretty easy because everything was in place for the last 3 and 4 years, all those returning players, and they knew the offense, they knew the rides, they knew the man up, they knew all aspects of the game because they had such experience. And this year we looked at Dylan Donahue, and the other 5 guys are missing. They all graduated at the offensive end, so it was different for us in fall ball. A lot of experimenting, a lot of getting to know the freshman players coming in, the returning players, and you had a couple transfers with Mariano and Paroli coming in. So a lot to figure out. We're still not there yet, even after 5 weeks in the fall. We've got a lot to do this spring, and that starts on Wednesday with 2-a-days.
You kind of alluded to where I wanted to go to. Lost the most really on offense. 5 of the 6 starters from that NCAA tournament in May are now gone. So besides Dylan Donahue, we know Dylan's ever consistent, always going to get his goals. Who are some other guys that we should be watching out for here come spring 2016?
Well, we're trying to figure that out. You know, I think right off the bat, you've got Nick Weston coming back, Timmy Barber that were on the second midfield. Gail Thorpe redshirted for us last year. He's a freshman, a local player. His father coaches, assistant coach the women's team. A number of players. Sergio Salcido is back. Oh, let me look at my list here. We got Derek DeJoe's back, Ryan Simmons, Matt Lane, all guys that have gotten a little bit of time here and there. Ryan Simmons really came on for us at the end of the year last year. And again, our transfers, Mariano and Paroli, and I already mentioned Barber. Jordan Evans comes back with a lot of experience in the midfield too, working him on attack. So those guys are the guys that remind us.
And behind that defense, you guys will have a new starting goalkeeper this year. You sort of spoke about it a little bit in your press conference, but is it expected to be Warren Hill at this point, or is there still a little bit of a battle going on as we've seen in years past?
Well, you know, I hope there's a battle still going on. I think Warren definitely comes out with the edge over the fall. I think especially in the save department, he was really solid. He did it in practice. He did it in the fall scrimmages that we had down in Annapolis in our alumni game. So, you know, he's played well this fall, and we hope he's going to continue through the spring.
All right, last one for you, Coach. With so many new faces in key roles, what are kind of the expectations for this team this year?
Well, you know, I think, you know, we talked about Ben Williams in the press conference, Cal Paduta, guys that I think that can get us possessions after goals on the face-off. So we're looking to get some possessions, trying to get more possessions to our inexperienced offense to give them more touches so that we can keep getting better as the year goes on. And then we want to be solid defensively. We don't want to give up any easy ones, no silly mistakes at the defensive end of the field. And then when there's a crack in the lining at the defensive end, we need Warren Hill to step up and maybe Evan Malloy to step up and make those saves when there is a little crack in the lining.
Thanks so much, Coach. Head Coach John Desco, thank you for joining us.
All right, thank you for having me.
Coach Desco not handing us his lineup card, but let's take a look at the potential starters for this Syracuse team in 2016. We'll start on attack. One guy we can definitely pencil in there, Dylan Donahue. He scored 50 goals last year. He will be back leading the offensive horses for the Orange this season. Behind him could be any number of players. Jordan Evans played some attack last season. There are also 2 transfers who have played attack in the past, Nick Mariano and Nick Paroli.
Mariano could also see some time at midfield alongside Tim Barber. Barber saw some time at attack last year when Randy Stotts went out with an injury. Look for Nick Weston and Matt Lane to also be in the mix for playing time.
On defense, 2 returning starters for Coach Desco's team. Brandon Mullins, the redshirt senior, seems like he's been around forever at this point. Alongside him, Jane McDermott. Also, another returning defender, Rolf D'Agostino, but he may not start. It looks like it could be the freshman Nick Mellon. At least that's who we saw in the fall for this Syracuse team.
On paper, in the cage, it looks like a lack of experience at the D1 level for Warren Hill, but he makes up for it in experience pretty much everywhere else. A 2-time All-American at nearby OCC, and he started for the bronze medal winning Iroquois at the 2014 World Lacrosse Championships. If he falters, look for redshirt junior Evan Malloy or Merrimack transfer Don Madonna to Manly Crease.
We're not done yet here at Manly Fieldhouse. Coming up, we'll walk you through the Orange's 2016 schedule, and we'll take a look at the preseason national poll. You're watching Citrus TV's Lacrosse Preview Show.
How many
Brandon!
Every proper bear knows that the right fit means everything. Especially when it comes to car seats.
Oh, really? I just did what any bear would do.
So know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size.
I like it.
To learn more, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Oh, hello there. Oh,
where's that bear?
What do you think it would be like to teach? Chances are, you have no idea. Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places, and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable. That's what it's like to teach.
The weekend, usually, is a time to relax and unwind from the pressures of work and school. Unfortunately, the weekend is also a time for many people to abuse drugs and alcohol. Listen to the words some people use when they talk about the good time they had over the weekend. They say, I went to a party Friday night and got plastered. Or, Saturday night, I was really wasted. Maybe they didn't have such a good time after all.
This message furnished by the NCAA.
I know the guys are really excited, and I'm really excited to get back at it again.
Now it's a lot of different guys coming to the table, being vocal leaders, so it's been good getting a lot more input from everybody.
And with the younger guys on offense, they're improving every day and they're getting better, and I'm just excited for this season to come up.
You know, we just got to go out there every day and work our butts off, and hopefully by game 1 or game 6 we'll figure it out.
You got to be excited for the season now, right?
We've taken a look at some of the key faces that Syracuse fans need to know. Now it's time for us to take a look at just who Syracuse is going to be playing this season. A bit of a week out of conference slate in February, depending on how you look at it. Siena first at home. Albany, the first time in 4 years Syracuse will play Albany without Lyle Thompson. And then Army West Point, 3 home games to start the season.
Moving on to March. March is the gauntlet month for this Syracuse team. They play at Virginia, at Johns Hopkins, and at Duke. That will be the month that this team is really tested when they find out who they are.
Home against St. John's is no pushover game either. In April, big home date against Notre Dame, and then at Hobart, at Cornell, and then 2 home games against North Carolina and Binghamton before heading to the ACC tournament.
In May, always an interesting month for Syracuse because they play in that ACC tournament and then they come back and usually play one more game to get ready for the NCAA tournament. This year, that game against Colgate. Moving on to a look at preseason national polls. Let's take a look now at the Inside Lacrosse preseason poll. And Marcus, Syracuse not garnering as much preseason respect as maybe they usually get with so many departures after last season.
Yeah, Syracuse projected to finish just 8th, a finish that most other teams in the country would take, but a little lower than what Syracuse is used to. 5th out of 5 ACC teams, all in the top 8. Notre Dame number 1, Duke number 3, North Carolina number 5, and Virginia number 7. An interesting disparity from the ACC coaches poll where Syracuse is projected to finish 3rd by the conference's coaches.
And what's crazy is if you look at this poll, Marcus, Syracuse is going to face off with 5 of these preseason top 10 teams this season. That's all we got for you here on the 2016 version of CitrusTV's Syracuse Lacrosse Preview Show. Big thanks to John Desco, Brandon Mullins, and the whole Syracuse lacrosse program. I feel like I'm ready for lacrosse season.
Snow is on the ground, the weather is bitter cold, it's perfect lacrosse weather, and I'm ripping and ready to go, Kevin.
It's always perfect lacrosse season here at Syracuse. I'm Kevin Case, he's Marcus White. Thanks so much for watching, everyone.